Sebastian Oakes gripped the tiny pink ballet slipper in his hand and sighed heavily. How did fathers everywhere manage to figure these things out? The delicate ribbons twisted around his fingers as his 6-year-old daughter, Lily, watched with growing impatience. "Daddy, you're doing it wrong again," she said, her small foot tapping impatiently on the hardwood floor of their penthouse apartment. "Miss Olivia showed us how to do it last week. You have to cross them like an X and then wrap them around." Sebastian glanced at his watch. They were already running late. As CEO of Pinnacle Publishing, one of the nation's largest independent publishing houses, he was accustomed to managing complex business negotiations and overseeing hundreds of employees. Yet here he was, defeated by a child's ballet slipper. "Sweetheart, I think we need to call in reinforcements," he said, reaching for his phone to text Maria, their nanny who had taken the day off for a family emergency. Before he could dial, Lily snatched the slipper from his hands. "I'll do it myself," she declared, her little fingers moving with surprising dexterity as she tied the ribbons correctly. "Miss Olivia says we should be independent." "Miss Olivia sounds very wise," Sebastian said, helping Lily into her puffy pink tutu. "And who exactly is this Miss Olivia again?" "She's my ballet teacher, Daddy. I told you like a million times." Lily rolled her eyes dramatically, an expression she'd perfected after her mother left them 2 years ago for a finding herself journey that apparently required minimal contact with her daughter. "She's the most amazing dancer ever. She used to dance in New York." "Right, of course." Sebastian nodded, trying to remember if he'd ever met this teacher during the handful of drop-offs he'd managed to do himself. Usually, Maria handled Lily's after-school activities while he worked late at the office. 30 minutes later, Sebastian guided his sleek black Audi into the parking lot of the Westridge Community Center, where the recital was being held. The modest building didn't match the usual venues associated with his lifestyle, but Lily had insisted on joining this particular ballet class after her friend from school had raved about the teacher. "We're late, Daddy," Lily squirmed in her booster seat as Sebastian parked. "Miss Olivia says punctuality is respect made visible." Sebastian helped Lily out of the car, following her as she dashed toward the entrance, her ballet bag bouncing against her small back. Inside the lobby, several parents were gathered, chatting casually while soft classical music played through speakers. "Lily Oakes, there you are," a woman's voice cut through the crowd. Sebastian looked up to see a petite woman with auburn hair pulled back into a neat bun making her way toward them. She wore a simple black leotard under a wraparound sweater and moved with the unmistakable grace of a dancer. "Miss Olivia," Lily squealed, running toward her teacher. "I tied my slippers all by myself," the woman Miss Olivia presumably knelt down to Lily's level. "That's wonderful, I'm so proud of you." She examined the ribbons with exaggerated seriousness that made Lily beam. "Perfect technique. Now hurry backstage with the other butterflies." Emma's mom is helping everyone with their headpieces. As Lily scampered off, the woman straightened and turned to Sebastian with a warm smile that made something shift unexpectedly in his chest. Her eyes were a striking hazel, bright with intelligence and warmth. "You must be Mr. Oakes," she extended her hand. "I'm Olivia Reeves. It's nice to finally meet you." Sebastian shook her hand, noticing the strength in her delicate fingers. "Sebastian, please, and I apologize for our tardiness. Ballet slippers presented quite the challenge this morning." Olivia laughed, a genuine sound that lacked the calculated quality of the laughs he was used to hearing at corporate functions. "No worries. Lily is doing wonderfully in class. She has real potential and, more importantly, she genuinely loves to dance." "That's good to hear," Sebastian said, feeling oddly proud. "I'm afraid this is my first recital, work usually." He trailed off, suddenly aware of how that sounded. "Well, I'm glad you made it today," Olivia said without judgment. "It means everything to these kids when their parents watch them perform." Something in her tone suggested personal experience. "The program starts in 10 minutes. You should find a seat they fill up quickly." With a quick nod, she was gone, disappearing through a door marked performers only, leaving Sebastian with the lingering scent of something floral and the distinct feeling he'd just been both charmed and gently chastised. The auditorium was packed with parents, grandparents, and siblings, all clutching programs and smartphones at the ready. Sebastian found a seat in the third row, nodding politely to the couple beside him. "First recital," the woman asked kindly. "Is it that obvious?" Sebastian replied, loosening his tie slightly. "The deer in headlights look gives it away," the woman's husband chuckled. "Our Emma has been dancing with Miss Olivia for 3 years. You're in for a treat. She does amazing things with these kids." Before Sebastian could respond, the lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the audience. Soft piano music filled the room as the stage lights came up, revealing a backdrop of painted flowers and trees. A woman stepped onto the stage, Olivia, now wearing a simple flowing dress that accentuated her graceful form. "Welcome to our spring showcase," she began, her voice clear and warm. "Today, our young dancers will take you on a journey through an enchanted garden. These children have worked incredibly hard, and I couldn't be prouder of each and every one of them. So please, sit back and enjoy the magic of dance through the eyes of your children." The audience applauded as she glided offstage. What followed was a procession of small children in various insect and flower costumes, moving with varying degrees of coordination to classical music. Some danced with precision, others stumbled adorably, but all wore expressions of intense concentration that made Sebastian smile despite himself. When Lily's butterfly group took the stage, he found himself leaning forward, phone poised to record. His daughter, wings attached to her back and antennae bobbing on her head, executed her movements with surprising grace. In one moment, she looked directly at him and gave a tiny wave that violated the choreography but warmed his heart completely. Throughout the performance, Sebastian kept finding his attention drawn to Olivia, who watched from the wings, occasionally mouthing encouragement or demonstrating a move for a confused child. There was something captivating about her, a natural warmth, combined with elegant poise that he rarely encountered in his corporate world. The recital concluded with all the children returning to stage for a final bow. The audience rose in a standing ovation, and Sebastian found himself clapping harder than anyone, an unfamiliar pride swelling in his chest. After the performance, the lobby filled with excited children and proud parents. Lily ran to him, still in her butterfly costume, wings slightly askew. "Did you see me, Daddy? Did you see when I did the big leap?" "I saw everything," Sebastian said, kneeling down to hug her. "You were the most beautiful butterfly in the garden." "Miss Olivia said I pointed my toes perfectly," Lily beamed. "She's absolutely right," Sebastian agreed, looking up to see Olivia approaching them, now with a wrap skirt over her dance attire. "Lily, you were exceptional today," Olivia said, her face glowing with genuine pride. "Especially that arabesque sequence. All that extra practice paid off." Sebastian raised an eyebrow. "Extra practice? Oh yes," Olivia nodded. "Lily's been staying 15 minutes after class every Tuesday to work on her arabesque. She's very dedicated." Sebastian felt a twinge of guilt. He hadn't known about this arrangement, which meant Maria hadn't mentioned it. Or perhaps he'd been too busy to listen. "Well, I'm very impressed," he said, looking between his daughter and her teacher. "Thank you for taking the extra time with her." "It's my pleasure," Olivia replied. "Dance is about passion, not just technique. Lily has both." She turned to Lily. "Remember to practice your positions this week, butterfly. I'll see you on Tuesday." As Olivia moved on to speak with other parents, Sebastian found himself watching her, intrigued by the way she gave each family her complete attention. "Daddy, can we get ice cream to celebrate?" Lily asked, tugging on his hand. "Miss Olivia says celebrations are important." "Miss Olivia seems to say a lot of wise things," Sebastian smiled. "Ice cream it is." As they headed toward the exit, Sebastian couldn't resist glancing back at Olivia. To his surprise, she was looking in their direction. Their eyes met briefly and she gave a small wave before turning away. "Daddy, why is your face red?" Lily asked as they stepped outside. "Is it?" Sebastian felt his cheeks, wondering when he'd last blushed. "Must be warm in here." "Miss Olivia's pretty, isn't she?" Lily remarked with the innocent directness of childhood. Sebastian looked down at his perceptive daughter. "Yes, she is. Now, about that ice cream." Over the following weeks, Sebastian found himself rearranging his schedule to personally take Lily to her Tuesday and Thursday ballet classes. His executive assistant, Janet, raised her eyebrows the first time he moved a board meeting to accommodate a 4 p.m. ballet class, but she'd simply nodded and made the necessary calls. He told himself it was about being more present in Lily's life. A goal he'd set after his ex-wife's departure had forced him to recognize how much of his daughter's childhood he'd been missing. But he couldn't deny the flutter of anticipation he felt each time he walked into the studio and saw Olivia guiding her young students through their positions. One Tuesday afternoon, as the children practiced at the bar, Sebastian found himself seated next to Emma's mother, watching through the observation window. "It's nice to see a dad so involved," the woman commented. "I'm Teresa, by the way. We met briefly at the recital." "Sebastian," he nodded. "And I'm trying to be more present. Work has taken too much of my time for too long." Teresa smiled knowingly. "Olivia has that effect on parents. She reminds us what really matters." She nodded toward the studio where Olivia was gently correcting a little boy's posture. "She's amazing with the kids. Hard to believe she gave up a career with the American Ballet Theater to teach here." "American Ballet Theater?" Sebastian echoed, surprised. "That's prestigious." "Oh yes, she was on the rise, soloist on track to principal, from what I understand. Then family obligations brought her back to town 3 years ago. She opened this studio instead." Teresa shrugged. "Their loss is our children's gain." Sebastian watched with new appreciation as Olivia demonstrated a combination of steps with effortless grace. Even to his untrained eye, it was evident he was watching someone with extraordinary talent. When class ended, the children came bounding out to their waiting parents. Lily chattered excitedly about the new steps they'd learned as Sebastian helped her change back into her regular shoes. "Miss Olivia says I might be ready for point shoes in a few years if I keep practicing," Lily announced proudly. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Sebastian said, glancing up as Olivia emerged from the studio speaking with a parent. "Mr. Oakes," she called as the other parent left. "Do you have a moment?" Sebastian nodded, telling Lily to wait in the lounge area with Emma. "I wanted to talk to you about the summer intensive program," Olivia said, pulling a brochure from a stack on the reception desk. "Lily has remarkable potential. I think she'd benefit enormously from the additional training." Sebastian took the brochure, noting the schedule: 3 hours daily for 3 weeks in July. "That's quite a commitment." "It is," Olivia agreed, "but it would give her the foundation to really advance." "Of course, I understand if it's too much with work schedules and no," Sebastian interrupted. "If you think it's good for her, we'll make it work." He hesitated, then added, "I've been told you danced with the American Ballet Theater." A flash of surprise crossed Olivia's face. "Parent grapevine is efficient, I see. Why did you leave?" The question slipped out before he could consider its propriety. Instead of being offended, Olivia's expression softened. "My father had a stroke. I'm an only child and my mother needed help by the time things stabilized." She shrugged. "Life had taken a different turn. Teaching turned out to be my true calling anyway." "Your students are fortunate," Sebastian said sincerely. "Thank you." She tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "So the summer program, shall I reserve Lily a spot?" "Absolutely." Olivia smiled. "Perfect. And Mr. Oakes, Sebastian, please." "Sebastian," she corrected herself. "There's a parent-teacher conference next week, Thursday evening at 6. We'll discuss goals for each student. I'd love your input on what you hope Lily gains from her dance education." "I'll be there," Sebastian promised, realizing he had a dinner with potential investors scheduled for the same time. They would have to understand the rescheduling. As he and Lily drove home, he found himself thinking about Olivia's choice to leave a prestigious career to care for family and ultimately to teach. It struck him as both admirable and thought-provoking. When was the last time he'd made a choice that wasn't ultimately about growing his business? The following Thursday, Sebastian arrived at the studio 15 minutes early for the parent-teacher conference. He found Olivia at her desk, hair falling loose around her shoulders for once as she reviewed notes. She looked up at his entrance and smiled. "You're early." "A recent development in my character," he admitted. "I used to pride myself on being precisely on time." "Well, I appreciate the punctuality," she said, gesturing to the chair across from her desk. "Most parents are rushing in from work." "I'm usually that parent," Sebastian said, taking a seat. "But I'm trying to do better." "I've noticed," Olivia said, meeting his eyes directly. "Lily has too. She talks about you constantly now." Something in Sebastian's chest tightened. "She does," Olivia nodded. "Children notice these things. Your presence means everything to her." She opened a folder. Now, about Lily's progress. They spent the next 45 minutes discussing Lily's development as a dancer, her strengths, areas for improvement, and long-term potential. Sebastian found himself impressed with Olivia's detailed observations and thoughtful approach. "You really see her," he said finally, "not just as a student but as a person." "That's the only way to teach effectively," Olivia replied. "Every child has their own motivation, their own way of learning. Lily dances from her heart. She feels the music deeply. It's not about perfection for her, it's about expression." "She gets that from her mother," Sebastian said quietly. "Catherine was always artistic, I'm more analytical." "Yet you run a publishing house," Olivia noted. "That suggests an appreciation for creative expression." Sebastian looked at her, surprised. "How did you know that?" A slight blush colored Olivia's cheeks. "I might have Googled you after the recital. Pinnacle Publishing is impressive. I've read many books with your company's imprint." "I hope they were enjoyable," Sebastian said, oddly pleased that she'd looked him up. "Very much so." Olivia gathered her papers. "Well, I think we've covered everything about Lily's progress." Sebastian found himself reluctant to end the conversation. "Would you," he started, then paused, uncharacteristically hesitant. "Would you be interested in getting coffee sometime, to discuss Lily's dance education further, of course?" Olivia looked at him for a moment, her expression unreadable. "I make it a policy not to date my students' parents," she said gently. "I understand," Sebastian nodded, feeling unaccustomedly awkward. "That's a sensible boundary." "However," she continued, "Lily will be moving up to the intermediate class next month, which I don't teach." A small smile played at her lips. "So technically, she wouldn't be my student anymore." Sebastian felt a grin spreading across his face. "So next month, then?" "Next month," Olivia agreed. Although, the community center is hosting a charity performance this Saturday to raise money for arts education. Several professional dancers from the city ballet are participating, and I'll be performing as well. If you and Lily wanted to attend, that would be entirely appropriate. "We wouldn't miss it," Sebastian said, standing to leave. "It's black tie," Olivia added. "The tickets are quite expensive, but it's for a good cause." "I'm familiar with charity event pricing," Sebastian smiled. "I'll get the tickets tonight." As he left the studio, Sebastian realized he was genuinely looking forward to the weekend in a way he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't the networking opportunity or business connections that excited him, it was simply the chance to see Olivia dance. Saturday evening arrived, and Sebastian adjusted his bow tie in the mirror while Lily twirled in her new navy blue dress. Her hair arranged in an elegant updo that Maria had helped with before leaving for the evening. "Do I look like a real ballerina, Daddy?" Lily asked, executing a wobbly pirouette. "Even better," Sebastian assured her. "You look like Lily Oakes, the most beautiful 6-year-old in the world." They arrived at the Grand Plaza Hotel, where the charity gala was being held in the ballroom. Sebastian handed his keys to the valet and guided Lily inside, where they joined the crowd of elegantly dressed attendees. The ballroom had been transformed into a performance venue, with rows of chairs facing a temporary stage. Crystal chandeliers cast a warm glow over the space, and floral arrangements adorned the tables at the back, where refreshments would be served after the performance. Sebastian recognized several business associates among the crowd, exchanging polite nods as he and Lily found their seats near the front. The program listed several pieces to be performed, with Olivia Reeves featured in a solo to Debussy's Clair de Lune, as well as a pas de deux from Giselle. "Miss Olivia is going to dance twice," Lily whispered excitedly, pointing to the program. "I've never seen her really dance before." "I haven't either," Sebastian replied, surprised to feel a flutter of anticipation. The lights dimmed, and a distinguished older man took the stage to welcome everyone and explain the purpose of the fundraiser to provide dance and arts education to underprivileged children throughout the city. Sebastian made a mental note to make a substantial donation beyond the ticket price. The performances began with a contemporary piece by dancers from the city ballet, followed by a classical excerpt from Swan Lake. Each performance showcased exceptional talent, but Sebastian found himself waiting for Olivia's appearance. When she finally stepped onto the stage for her solo, Sebastian felt his breath catch. Gone was the practical dance teacher in simple attire. In her place stood an artist in a flowing pale blue dress that seemed to float around her as she moved. From the first note of the haunting piano melody, it was clear that Olivia Reeves was a dancer of rare talent. Her movements told a story of longing and hope, each gesture imbued with meaning that transcended technique. Sebastian, who had attended obligatory ballet performances for business networking, had never been moved by dance the way he was watching Olivia express herself through movement. "She's magic," Lily whispered beside him, her eyes wide with wonder. Sebastian could only nod, transfixed as Olivia completed a series of turns that seemed to defy gravity before sinking into a final pose as the music faded. The audience erupted into applause, rising to their feet. Sebastian stood with them, clapping until his hands hurt. Later, during the reception, Lily spotted Olivia across the room and tugged on Sebastian's hand. "Can we go tell her she was amazing, please?" They made their way through the crowd to where Olivia stood speaking with an older couple. She looked different with her hair down in loose waves, wearing an elegant black evening gown. She spotted them approaching and excused herself from her conversation. "Lily, Sebastian, I'm so glad you could come. Miss Olivia, you were the best dancer ever," Lily exclaimed, bouncing on her toes. "Even better than the princesses?" Olivia laughed, kneeling down to Lily's level despite her formal attire. "Thank you, sweetheart, that's high praise indeed." "She's right," Sebastian said as Olivia straightened up. "You were extraordinary." Something in his tone must have conveyed more than simple appreciation because a soft blush colored Olivia's cheeks. "Thank you. It feels good to perform again, especially for such a worthy cause." The man who introduced the program, he mentioned scholarship programs for children who can't afford lessons, Sebastian said. "I'd like to know more about that." "Robert Marshall," Olivia nodded. "He's the director of the Community Arts Council." "The scholarships are actually something I started when I opened my studio. So far, we've been able to provide lessons for 25 children, but there's always more need than funding." Sebastian nodded thoughtfully. "I'd like to help. Perhaps Pinnacle could establish an annual endowment." Olivia's eyes widened. "That would be incredible, but it's not why I mentioned the program to you." "I know," Sebastian smiled, "but it matters to you and it's a worthy cause." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of an elegant older woman who swept Olivia into a hug. "Darling, you were magnificent, just like old times." "Thank you, Mom," Olivia smiled, then turned to Sebastian and Lily. "This is my mother, Elaine Reeves. Mom, this is Sebastian Oakes and his daughter Lily, one of my students." "Ah, the famous Lily," Elaine beamed. Olivia has told me what a talented young dancer you are." While Lily basked in the attention, chattering with Elaine about ballet, Sebastian noticed the subtle resemblance between mother and daughter, the same graceful carriage and warm smile. "Your daughter is incredibly talented," Sebastian said to Elaine. "I understand she was with the American Ballet Theater. She was destined for principal dancer." Elaine nodded, a hint of wistfulness in her voice. "But when my husband had his stroke." She glanced at Olivia with clear admiration. "Family comes first for Olivia, always has." "Mom," Olivia interjected gently, "I made the right choice. I love teaching." "Of course you do, darling," Elaine patted her daughter's arm, "and your father and I are immensely proud." She turned back to Sebastian. "Though I do think she deserves more recognition for her artistry." "I couldn't agree more," Sebastian said, his eyes meeting Olivia's. The evening continued with speeches and a silent auction. Sebastian bid generously on several items, including a weekend at a luxury resort and a private dance lesson with Olivia, which made her laugh when she saw his name on the bidding sheet. "Buying dance lessons at a charity auction seems inefficient when you could just ask," she teased as they stood near the dessert table. "Ah, but this way I get to support the cause and secure your time," Sebastian replied. "Strategic thinking." "Very CEO of you," Olivia smiled, taking a sip of champagne. As the evening wound down, Lily began to show signs of fatigue, leaning against Sebastian's side with heavy eyelids. "I think someone's ready for home," Olivia observed softly. "It's well past her bedtime," Sebastian agreed, lifting Lily into his arms where she immediately rested her head on his shoulder. "But it was worth staying. Thank you for telling us about tonight." "Thank you for coming," Olivia said, her eyes warm. It meant a lot to see friendly faces in the audience. As they prepared to leave, Olivia gently brushed a strand of hair from Lily's forehead. "Sweet dreams, butterfly," she whispered. Sebastian felt something shift in his chest at the tenderness of the gesture. "About that coffee next month," he said quietly. "I'm very much looking forward to it." Olivia met his gaze, her smile soft. "So am I." The next 4 weeks passed in a blur of work commitments, board meetings, and ballet lessons. Sebastian continued to arrange his schedule to take Lily to class, though now she attended Miss Julie's intermediate group, rather than Olivia's beginners. He still saw Olivia at the studio, however, and their brief interactions in the hallway or waiting area became highlights of his week. Each conversation revealed another facet of her character that intrigued him: her dry sense of humor, her passionate advocacy for arts education, her thoughtful insights into child development. When the day of their coffee date finally arrived, Sebastian felt an unusual nervousness as he selected his tie that morning. He opted for a more casual look than his usual business attire: dark jeans and a light blue button-down without a tie. They'd arranged to meet at a small cafe near the studio after Olivia's last class of the day. Lily was spending the afternoon with a friend, with Maria scheduled to pick her up later. Sebastian arrived first, selecting a quiet table by the window. He watched Olivia approach through the glass, her hair loose around her shoulders, wearing a simple sundress that made her look younger and more carefree than her usual teaching attire. He stood as she entered, a gesture that seemed to surprise and please her. "Punctual again," she noted with a smile as she took the seat he held for her. "I wouldn't want to risk the disapproval of someone who believes punctuality is respect made visible," Sebastian replied, recalling Lily's words from weeks ago. Olivia laughed. "Lily has an excellent memory." They ordered a cappuccino for Olivia, black coffee for Sebastian, and fell into easy conversation that flowed from Lily's progress in dance to books they'd both enjoyed, to their respective career paths. "So how does someone with a Harvard MBA end up running a publishing house?" Olivia asked, cradling her cup between her hands. "That seems more like a path to Wall Street." "That was the original plan," Sebastian admitted, "but my grandfather started Pinnacle with 2 authors and a second-hand printing press." My father expanded it, and when he became ill during my final year of business school, I stepped in temporarily. He shrugged. 12 years later, I'm still there. Do you enjoy it? Sebastian considered the question. I do, not always the business side, though I'm good at that part. But I love discovering new voices, connecting readers with stories that matter. There's something deeply satisfying about turning a manuscript into a book that might change someone's life. That's beautiful, Olivia said softly. It's not so different from teaching, really. Helping others find their voice, their means of expression. I never thought of it that way, but you're right, Sebastian nodded. What about you? Do you ever miss performing? A shadow crossed Olivia's face. Sometimes. On certain days when the music hits just right, I feel that pull to lose myself in it completely. She traced the rim of her cup thoughtfully. But teaching brings different rewards. Watching a child light up when they master a step they've been struggling with, there's nothing quite like it. Lily adores you, Sebastian said. You've given her confidence I didn't even know she needed. She's a special girl, Olivia replied. You're doing a wonderful job with her, especially as a single parent. That can't be easy with your responsibilities. I'm trying, Sebastian said honestly. For too long, I used work as an excuse to avoid the harder parts of parenting. When Catherine left, he paused, surprised to find himself discussing this. It was actually a wake-up call. Lily needed me to be fully present, not just financially supportive. That self-awareness is rare, Olivia observed. Many people just continue patterns even when they're not working. Their conversation continued for over 2 hours, moving from personal histories to favorite films, travel experiences, and future aspirations. Sebastian couldn't remember the last time he'd enjoyed someone's company so effortlessly, without strategic objectives or business considerations coloring the interaction. When they finally noticed the time, Sebastian insisted on walking Olivia to her car. As they strolled through the early evening air, their hands brushed accidentally. Sebastian gently caught her fingers with his, and Olivia didn't pull away. At her car, they paused, still holding hands. This was nice, Olivia said, looking up at him with a smile that made his heart beat faster. It was, Sebastian agreed. I'd like to see you again. Properly, I mean dinner perhaps. I'd like that, Olivia nodded, but she hesitated. But I need you to understand something, she said carefully. I care about Lily as her teacher and mentor. If we pursue this and it doesn't work out between us, I never want that to affect her experience at the studio or her love of dance. Sebastian felt a surge of respect for her professionalism and consideration. I understand completely. Lily's well-being comes first for both of us. Good, Olivia's expression softened. In that case, yes. I'd love to have dinner with you. Sebastian leaned down and kissed her gently, a brief touch of lips that carried promise rather than demand. When he pulled back, Olivia's eyes remained closed for a moment longer, a soft smile playing on her lips. I'll call you tomorrow, he said. I'll answer, she replied with a warm certainty that stayed with him long after he'd watched her drive away. Over the following months, Sebastian and Olivia's relationship deepened through dinners, long walks, and quiet evenings together after Lily was asleep. Olivia gradually became a fixture in their lives, helping with homework, attending Lily's school events, and bringing a warmth to their home that had been missing. Sebastian found himself more balanced, leaving work at reasonable hours and delegating tasks he once would have insisted on handling personally. His executive team noticed the change, with Janet remarking that he seemed less like a CEO and more like a human being these days. For her part, Olivia blossomed in the relationship, rediscovering aspects of herself that had been set aside during years of caregiving and building her business. Sebastian encouraged her to perform occasionally, even helping to arrange a special showcase at the community center where she danced selections from her favorite ballets. Lily thrived with Olivia's influence, not just in dance but in confidence and creativity. She took to calling their outings together family adventures, a term that neither adult corrected. On a crisp autumn evening, 6 months after their first coffee date, Sebastian took Olivia to dinner at the restaurant where they'd had their first proper date. Afterward, he suggested a walk through the botanical gardens, which had been illuminated with thousands of tiny lights for the fall festival. As they strolled hand in hand beneath trees draped in twinkling lights, Sebastian felt a certainty settle over him. He led Olivia to a small gazebo overlooking the garden's central fountain. "You remember telling me that punctuality is respect made visible?" he asked, taking both her hands in his. Olivia laughed softly. "One of many teacherly sayings I inflict on my students." "It stayed with me," Sebastian said, "because it speaks to something larger, how we demonstrate what matters to us through our actions, our presence." He took a deep breath. "Before I met you, I thought success was measured in acquisitions and market share. You showed me that real success is being present for the people you love, investing time in what truly matters." He released one of her hands to reach into his pocket, withdrawing a small velvet box. Olivia's eyes widened as he knelt before her. "Olivia Reeves, you've taught me and Lily so much about grace, perseverance, and joy. Would you do us the honor of becoming a permanent part of our family? Will you marry me?" Tears glistened in Olivia's eyes as she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "With all my heart, yes." Sebastian slipped the ring onto her finger, a classic diamond surrounded by smaller sapphires that caught the light from above. As he stood and pulled her into his arms, Olivia laughed through her tears. "You know what this means, don't you?" she said against his shoulder. "What's that?" She pulled back to look at him with mischief in her eyes. "You're going to have to learn how to tie ballet slippers properly," Sebastian laughed, remembering their first meeting. "For you, I'll master it." "No," Olivia corrected him gently. "For Lily, and maybe someday." She placed a hand on her abdomen in a gesture full of possibility, "For others who might join our little dance troupe." Sebastian felt his heart expand with love and hope. "I can't think of anything I'd rather do," he said, drawing her close again, "than spend the rest of my life dancing through it with you." As they sealed their promise with a kiss beneath the twinkling lights, Sebastian knew with absolute certainty that of all the successes in his life, finding Olivia and the family they would build together would always be his greatest accomplishment.